So this video is a continuation of trig ratios. I do not have a calculator on me, so I'm just going to set these up so you can see how to calculate. So you start off, if they're giving a triangle and all they've given you is a side and an angle, and you're trying to find another side, you start off with the representative angle, okay? Then you look for what you're given. You're given the opposite, unknown, and an adjacent. This side over here is the hypotenuse, so we don't necessarily need that. So we're given an opposite and an adjacent. Since we're given an opposite and adjacent, we're going to be using the tangent function. So tangent, and you put the degrees next to it, 41 equals the ratio of the opposite, our unknown, divided by the adjacent angle, the adjacent side to the angle, which is 32. And using algebra, we have to solve for x. So since 32 is in the denominator, we're going to multiply by 32. And in your calculator, you're going to put 32 times the tangent of 41. And remember, there's that trig button that is in your calculator, kind of kitty corner from the number 1. Okay, so x equals whatever 32 times the tangent of 41 is. All right, so we're going to start with this one. You always start with the angle, and then you have to look at what you're given. You have the unknown that is adjacent to the angle and the hypotenuse. So I have adjacent and hypotenuse, and looking at our trig ratios, that's cosine. So we're going to say cosine of the angle, and you're going to do your ratio, adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to say x over 26. Okay. Then using algebra, you're going to multiply by 26. So x equals 26 times the cosine of 21. Okay, and you can do that in your calculator as well. Okay, let's look over here. Identify where your angle is. I have opposite, because it's directly across, and adjacent, which means next to. So opposite and adjacent. So we're going to be using, once again, OA, tangent, opposite and adjacent. So tangent of 55 equals opposite, which we don't know, over adjacent, which is 8. And to solve for x, you multiply by 8 on each side. So 8 times the tangent of 55 equals x. And once again, you can do that in your calculator. So you'll get x equals some number. And I think they ask you to round to the nearest tenth, which is 1 decimal place. So actually I screwed up over here. It should be 5.2 equals x. So, okay. All right, number 5. You identify your angle, and what I'm given is the side that's opposite and the side that is a hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse, going back to SOHCAHTOA, would be the sine trig ratio. So it's sine of the degree is equal to 15 over x. Now this is different because x is in the denominator here, because you always do opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 15, hypotenuse is the x. So in order to get this, we're going to have a couple steps. I'm going to multiply by x on each side. So it cancels it over here. And I'll have x times the sine of 33 equals 15. But now I have to get x alone. So I'm going to divide by sine of 33 on each side. So this cancels. So in your calculator, you're going to do 15 divided by sine of 33 to get your answer for x. Okay, so that was a little bit different than the other ones. Just one more step different. Okay, then we're going to go over here. So identify the angle. With the information we're given the adjacent and the hypotenuse. looking at our trig ratios, adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So cosine of 43 degrees is equal to 36 over x. So when x is in the denominator, you have like kind of one extra step, because adjacent is 36, x, the hypotenuse is x. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by x to get it out of the denominator. So I have x cosine of 43 equals 36. Now to get x alone, it's x times cosine. So just like we did in example 5, I'm going to divide by cosine of 43. And that's degrees, by the way. So these cancel. So in your calculator, you're going to do 36 divided by the cosine of 43. Okay. And you're going to get an answer, and remember, round it to the 10th. Okay. Let's see. Over here, 72. You have information that is opposite and adjacent. So I'm going to be using the tangent. Tangent of 72 equals opposite over adjacent. So all these change just a little bit. Multiply by x. X. Tangent of 72 equals 25. And then divide by tangent of 72. So x equals 25 over tangent of 72. Okay, lastly, number 8. Identify your angle. I always go adjacent and then hypotenuse. So at this point, adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So cosine of 64 equals x over 11. Oh, this is going to be easier because x is not in the denominator. So all I have to do is multiply by 11. So x equals 11 times cosine of 64. Okay, let's try this next one. Jake leaned a 12-foot ladder. Okay, so up against his house. So here's my ladder, it's 12 feet. The angle formed by the ladder and the ground, so here's the ground, is 68 feet. And here's the house. I guess we should probably, whoopsies, that was not a straight line. It's the house. Okay, and they want to know how far the base of the ladder is down here from the house. So that's why I put that there. So I'm given that from my angle, adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to say, since adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine, so cosine of 68 equals x over 12. So multiply by 12. So 12 times the cosine of 68 equals x. And you could do that in your calculator and round to the nearest tenth. Excuse me. Okay. A ramp is used to load suitcases on an airplane. If the cargo door is 7 feet from the ground, okay, so 7 feet from the ground, and the angle formed by the end of the ramp and the ground is 25 degrees, how long is the ramp? Okay, so I know that I have opposite and hypotenuse, so that's sine. So sine of 25 equals 7 over x. Then I'm going to multiply by x on each side. So I have x sine of 25 equals 7. And since my x is on the left and is being multiplied by sine of 25, I'm going to divide by sine of 25. So x equals 7 divided by the sine of 25. And you're going to get an answer for that, obviously. And that will tell you how long this ramp is. Okay? If you have any questions, email me, post to the Google Classroom, do whatever you can. And your homework is, let's see here. Your homework is this one right here. Trig ratios. Okay? Enjoy, have a great day, and we'll talk soon.